The more than 300 delegates from across the country have convened for the Interfaith Conference on Ending Violence Against Children between the 7th and the 8th of July this year, 2021, on a blended platform with 100 persons present here at Ufungamano and the others joining us through Zoom. The conference was guided by the theme, End Violence Against Children, Dialogue for Action. Was convened by the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, KCCB, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, SUPKEM, and the World Vision, and the Hindu Council of Kenya. The objective of the conference is to draw up a well-coordinated and implementable strategies to ensure all children in Kenya are protected from violence. The conference took note of the scriptures recorded in the book of Psalms 127 and verse 3. Children are a gift from the Lord, they are a reward from him. And also from the book of Ephesians chapter 6 verse 4, that fathers do not exasperate your children, instead bring them up in training and instructions of the Lord, having considered the status of protection of children in Kenya and what is required to be done. We recommend the following actions by different actors. Yes, gaps in the protection of children. This conference has noted that different studies and surveys point to a very bad state for the young of our nation, with 1 in every 2 children having experienced violence. The situations worsened during COVID-19 pandemic, as was reported by the National Crime Research Center, who recorded a 205.6% increase in the number of cases of violation of children's rights between 2017 and 2019. The victims of these violations have rarely received justice, which contributes to the rise in the prevalence of the offenses. From the analysis of the prevailing legal and policy dispensation, this conference recognizes that the low state of protection of children in Kenya is not due to lack of appropriate law. Rather, it is the primary reason children are not adequately protected is ineffective enforcement of the laws and policies already in place. In addition, the conference noted 5 other hindrances to child protection in Kenya. These include the low level of public and community education that goes beyond information broadcasting, that is aimed at transforming cultural norms that promote children's rights and protect them from violation. Number 2 is lack of preventive programs that adopt crime prevention and social protection perspectives that entail parent and caregiver support, economic empowerment, and health for all. Number 3, undue focus by studies and surveys on prevalence rates rather than uncovering the underlying reasons for the violence against children. And number 4, inadequate allocation of resources to children protection institutions and frameworks which render them ineffective. And 5, inaccurate data on child rights violation as a result of these cases not being reported due to fear and stigma.
Recommended actions by faith institutions. This conference has recognized the religious plays a very key role in shaping the beliefs and the norms of the people. The religious institutions in Kenya have a responsibility to integrate child protection in all their teachings, sermons, and structures. The delegates in this conference have committed to the following actions and invite other faith leaders to embrace and implement the same. ensure a structured presentation of religious institution on children committees at national, county, and sub-county levels, and to be the voice of the children and families on those committees. Number 2, use the ministry platforms to promote children's protection by campaigning against negative cultural norms and delegitimizing practices that violate children. Number 3, promote justice for victims of violence against children by ensuring that all cases are reported and by following up the judicial processes. Number 4, promote positive parenting by developing programs for capacity building of parents and young adults so that they better equipped to protect children. Number 5, advocate for implementation of the existing constitutional legislation and policy frameworks, as well as enactment of any necessary new laws. Recommended actions by families. This conference appreciates that the primary normative institution for children, family, is composed to be the safest place for any child. It is therefore disheartening to note that a very high proportion of violence against children happens within the family setup. To reverse this status, this conference recommends the following to all families. 1, parents should seek to be trained and educated on parenting skills. Do not assume that parenting comes automatically. Parents need to learn from those who have gone before them. Number 2, parents should cultivate strong relationships with the children that can overcome the separations created by economic and academic engagements. Number 3, parents can form parenting groups for peer support and capacity building. Number 4, parents should take serious cases of abuse and violation of children and should take action against any offenders. Number 5, each parent should consider themselves the primary protectors of their children. Regardless of how one becomes a parent, whether deliberately or by accident, you have a responsibility to parent that child, and parenting begins by protecting them.
Recommended actions by education institutions. This conference appreciates that children spend most of their time in educational institutions. Peer violence against children happen in the school setting. The school setting should therefore be a safe environment for all learners, and we especially recommend the following actions. 1, each school should have a dedicated counselor who is trained and capable of providing psychosocial support to the learners. 2, integrate value education in the nurturing of the learners and ensuring that the trainers in the institutions exemplify the values. 3, take stern action against any persons reported to have violated the learners. 4, have programs to educate parents on their roles in protecting children and involvement in educational lives of the learners. 5, network with faith institutions to ensure effective and consistent chaplaincy and pastoral programs of education. Number 5, recommended actions by national and county governments. The enforcement of child protection legal and constitutional provisions is domiciled in the government. The national and county governments, therefore, have a role to play, the primary one being the implementation and enforcement of existing laws and policies. Towards this, we recommend the following actions. 1. Set strict timelines within which cases of violation of children's rights are handled to prevent elongated trauma of the victims. We recommend that each case should be concluded within 6 months. 2. We recommend that hire chaplains in all educational institutions so as to effect the chaplaincy guidelines which are ready. 3. Adequately fund the child protection structures and plans to ensure effective implementation. 4. Restructure child protection committees at national, county, and sub-county levels so that faith institutions are substantially represented to ensure proper networking and reporting mechanisms. 4. Partner with religious institutions by funding parenting training programs and initiatives. 6. Involve faith leaders and institutions in the development and implementation of positive parenting guidelines. 7. Effectively address the poor performance of officers on the ground by ensuring any negative actions are acted upon.
In conclusion, we conclude by calling to mind that the aspirations of all Kenyans is for a strong and resilient society. This can only be achieved when children are granted a conducive environment for growing up and being formed into responsible citizens. So we call upon all of us to recognize child protection and positive upbringing is part of the call we make in our national anthem. When we sing, let all with one accord, in common bond united, build this our nation together. And the glory of Kenya and the fruit of our labor fill every heart with thanksgiving. May God give each one of us the grace to care and protect our children now and forevermore. This statement is signed by the organizations that are here, the NCCK, the Supreme Council, the KCCB, the Hindu Council, and the World Vision. So I will take this opportunity to invite our CS who graced this occasion, the CS in charge of labor and social services, to come and briefly just give his message to Kenyans with regard to combating and stopping the violence against children. Bwana CS, we welcome you here so that you can join us to support this agenda of violence against children. Let's clap for the CS as he comes.
Thank you very much, General Secretary and the leaders of the faith-based organization, that is NCCK, the Catholic bishops, SUPKEM, and the Hindu Council, and the Secretary, Children's Services, Dr. Nyikuri, for this opportunity to discuss this very important subject, children protection in our country. As a government, we join and journey together with this religious-based organization in rallying the country to matters of children protection, the welfare and rights of children. And last year we did release as government a report on violence and causes of violence against children. which gave a raft of sources and causes that push and that causes violence against children. Some of the issues that causes violence, or what has been identified as perpetuators of violence against children, are the family members themselves. And that's why emphasis must go to family level, parenting, and the care of children. We must begin to discuss this issue of children protection at the family level. As a government, we are coming up with a number of initiatives to protect our children, the heritage and the future of our country. That is the new Children's Bill, amendment of the old bill, so that we are able to address all emerging issues relating to children. This bill is a landmark bill. It starts with a chapter on definitions, on all forms of expressions, and then it goes further to talk about the rights and the responsibilities of children. As we talk about the rights, we also assign responsibilities to children. So we are also balancing so that we are a wholesome person, a complete person, a child that is well developed, that does not just receive, but also has a responsibility to the family and also to the government, to the society and the community. The other issue and action that we are taking as government is employment of new children officers early last year. We've had shortage of children officers, about 160 children officers in our sub-counties. And we realize we have 290 sub-counties. Today, government has taken action and employed 290 children officers, 1 child officer per constituency, and additional 50 children officers who are supporting the hotspots counties and even in our National Coordination Center. You realize also that we are coming up with a desk with the DCI. You saw the abduction of children in 44 Zimmerman. And action was swiftly taken by our agencies, and some of these perpetrators have been arrested and they will be brought to book. So all this can only be achieved by strengthening and implementing an enforcement plan that brings on board all the agencies involved in criminal activities, and also our children officers, and also rallying the community so that we are able to report and we all join the campaign of Stop It. The government is also supporting children who are vulnerable or from poor families through cash transfer. We have about 350,000 children under this program that receive a stipend from government every month to support their families and also support them in their livelihoods. These are children who are orphans, they have lost parents, or parents are living with severe terminal diseases, and we have come in as government to support them. And finally is the financing of the National Council of Children's Services, NCCS, which is now the authority on children matters as we speak. So government is resourcing this institution so that it can be able to respond to emerging challenges of facing our children. So in conclusion, our country is young, 50% of our population is below 18 years, and we have a dynamic society. We gave ourselves a new constitution that brought in devolution, and we have new cities in our 47 counties emerging. The society is changing. There is rural-urban migration. Our cultures are mixing up, and therefore our duty now and responsibility as government and the religious organization and all the society and all the members of society is to come up with new ways of bringing up our society, of bringing up our children, so that we have a better future. The heritage, the future of our country is safe and secure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We may have a chance if the media has any question so that we can come to the conclusion of the